אל המעיין בגדי קטן בגדי לבן, מיין תבותי מחורן. השלום ללבן בן בתואל, השלום ליעקב ולרחל, וינגדי ויאמר שלום. My name is Ethel Kerzner. My birth date is December the 4th, 31. And I'm 83 years old now. I was born in Troyanuvka, it's the Ukraine. My father was a butcher, and his name was Kot, K-O-T, and his name was Mordechai Kot. My mother was Rissi, and I had a brother which was older than me. I was the baby. His name was Moshe, and I had a sister older than me, and her name was Gittel. I was very close to them. My father looked after me all the time, and my sister took me to school, walked me to school all the time, because I was the baby, and they wanted to make sure I'm okay. I was the favorite because I was the baby, and everybody would cater to me. And I took advantage of it. If they didn't do what I told them, I would cry. The year was 1942, and I was 11 years old. I can remember going to a Polish school, kindergarten, and then to Hebrew school, to kindergarten. And I used to speak both languages, and I still do. I still understand them. But I was Polish, not the Ukrainians weren't there. It was Poland, and I was first there. And after a while, things changed. Things changed a lot. It was a change for the Jewish people, and I'm Jewish. All of a sudden, our neighbors were not nice. The business we didn't do it. My father didn't do business with them anymore. He couldn't, and things got pretty bad. We had an extra room in our house, and a couple from Lodge, a couple with a young child came in, and they rented that room to think that they would hide out in our small towns while the Germans are having a good time. And you know what I mean, a good time. Just to make sure that they put Jewish people in camps and kill them for no reason at all, just for being Jewish. I don't know exactly how old I was, but I was old enough to know that there was something terribly wrong. One morning, there were police from this town coming around and telling all the Jewish people to come out to the big church in the middle of the town. All the Jewish people had to come out and meet down there. And if they didn't come, they would come and get them. And that's what they did. They decided to take all the Jewish people, gather them in one place around the church. So they went from they knew each Jewish house, so they went from house to house and got the people, and it was only one German. The rest, the people did it, the neighbors. And they told them, anything you want from the Jewish homes, you can just help yourself. And that's exactly what happened. And then they got everybody together. They had big grave ready. They had people with guns and just to do it. And they did it. I was with my father and my brother and my mother and sister. We were all together. And there was a policeman taking a whole bunch of Jewish people near that church. And he had a rifle, one rifle, and he had a whole pile of people. And as I was very young, I never saw a dead person. As I was walking with them, I saw a dead body, a girl, a neighbor of mine's daughter. So I got awfully, awfully upset, and I just turned around and started running back. And the policeman that was with the rifle, he kept yelling at me, "Come back, come back." But I was so scared that I just kept running. And when I stopped running, I said to myself, where am I? Where am I going? What am I doing? Anyhow, and then I remembered that not far from where I was standing, there was a lady that used to come. I went to school with her daughter. And I said, well, I don't know what to do. I was crying, so I rang her bell. When I walked in, she got very, very frightened. And she said, oh my God, what am I going to do with you? Where am I going to hide you? Oh my God. So I just stood there. I was a kid. I just stood there and do what you want. So she said, I'll tell you what. Do you know where my daughter, I went to school with her daughter. So she says, do you know where my daughter keeps the cows on the weekend? She keeps the cows. And I knew it was near a forest. And I knew approximately where it was. So she says, you'll come back at night with her, and then I'll see maybe I'll be able to make a little place for you, and maybe I'll be able to hide you there. I don't know. But you come back with her, but don't cry. Don't do that. So I didn't cry anymore. I jumped. And I kept going and going until I saw just near the forest. I never met her. I didn't see her because a neighbor of mine was in a ditch. They were also running to the forest because in the Ukraine, the forests are so thick, you can see through them. Somebody can be in front of you, you won't see it. So they were in a ditch, sitting, resting for a few minutes, and then entering the forest. There was my neighbor, his wife, and a little baby, 5 months, maybe 4 months, I don't know. So I jumped in too, because they were familiar, so I jumped in too. And I followed them, with them. We went into the forest, and we were there for quite a while. We were there for, I'm not sure the amount of time, but we were there a long time, running wild, running away. That couple that at the beginning, when I went into the ditch with them and I walked with them back to the forest, into the forest, they had the baby, so the baby was crying, it was hungry, so they had to kill the baby. And that got me very upset. And I started running in just running. I said, but where are you running? You have to come back. You have no choice. So when we came in and we met some other people, we sort of stuck together. And they were looking for us all the time, steady. There was a report done from the Ukrainian people that all the Jewish people, if they come back, we won't touch them, we won't kill them. Some of them went back. And of course, they got killed immediately. When we were alone running in the forest, and somebody went to the washroom outside, and he said, run, run, run. So we all ran in every direction because, and there was a pregnant lady, and I could hear the shots that they found her and they were killing her. And I heard those shots, I knew. So, and how young I was, I understood that that's what's happened. She was pregnant, she couldn't move, and They found it, and he killed her. Tova was 2 years older than me. Our parents were sister and brother. I remember when we were running wild in the forest before anything, trying to survive, and when I met Tova's mother, she and her father, they all survived with the 2 children. That was my mother's relative. And I can remember she took my shirt off. I only had one shirt. And she it was a fire, and like they were burning a fire for heat. And she went like this with my shirt, and it was crackling. You know what it was? You can figure that out? Lice. And she put back the shirt on me. Then I saw my father. I met him and my brother right there. They ran away. When it's a big group, and there's usually one. When I was running away, there was only one person, and he wasn't a German even. I think I don't even know if there was a German in the town. So, but we were so hungry that we had no food. After a while, people had to go and get some food, steal some potatoes in a garden or something like that to eat because we were starving or getting a loaf of bread. So some of the people that went to ask for, the neighbors killed them, shot them right away. There's no question about it. My brother, my father went out because they thought that this man that he did business with, he thought he would go there and he would perhaps get some potatoes and some bread and things like that. Well, he did go, and that man did business with my father all the time because my father was a kosher butcher. And he shot them both. Yeah, he killed them both. Anyhow, so when he didn't come back, we realized that was what happened, and then I was left alone. But I wasn't alone because there were people that I knew. And so we stuck together. We stuck together. And it was pretty bad. I imagined that eventually they would have cut us all. But what happened, some, what do you call them? The people, the Germans also tried to kill them too. They were gypsies in that forest. And they got together, our boys that were with and their people, they got together, and they said that we should make one group, but their idea was, forget about the women and children, just leave them alone, just the men. So the Jewish boys said, oh, get out of here, no way. Anyhow, so after a while they came back and they agreed to build something underneath, underground. And they stole quite a bit of stuff, and they built something underground, and we lived there. We built a bunker, and we were all safer there. There may have been as many as 75 of us. I'm not sure exactly, but around that amount. And some of them left and they didn't come back because they shot them. I was underground all the time. Once in a while, we would go out, a couple of girls, you know, and just look around and go right back in because we knew that you never know who comes around. They were looking for us all the time. They knew we were there somewhere, but they couldn't The forest was so thick and so dark, there's no way they could find anything, especially on the ground. Of course it was crowded. It wasn't a room by itself. Of course it was crowded, it was dirty, but you survived. You had lice all the time. We had no other clothes to change. We had no washrooms. You had to go where you had to go. And so there was no routine. You come mature overnight. You're mature overnight. There's no such a thing as play. But within there used to be fights. I even saw a fight between a young boy and a girl fighting over love. How did they think of that even? Two boys and a girl. They both were after the girl, and whichever one, the other one got shot. Whatever happens, happens, and that's what it is. There's no dealing, because you don't know what later brings, what tomorrow brings. You don't know. So you don't deal with that. You just say, stop it, be quiet, that's all. But they don't, that's what it was. The gypsies were very, very good at finding things, if you know what I mean. If they found something, they stole. They stole all kinds of little things to make these stupid bombs. The boys, all the young boys that were going to put the dynamite under the trains, they were very good. They couldn't care. They had a rifle too. They had rifles, yes, but it would kill anybody thinking nothing of it that came near the place. But some of them lost their lives with the bombs, because they would go and, they weren't experts. They weren't experts as kids. One guy got killed, but for making him, they were making them. They didn't know how. They learned. But they had to, that was the life. There was no such thing as life, normal life. There was no normality there. You look after yourself. You become mature overnight. You grow up overnight. When you see a mother killing the child, there's no such thing as living your life. Existing, that's the word you need. Not living your life. No. So that's how we lived for 18 months. Then we heard that the war is over. So we decided to get out of the forest and come into this small town that one of the kids that survived with us, and the parents didn't survive, just one young guy. And we decided to stay in this house because it was an empty house, of course. They took everything out, they stole everything. And the name of the town was Rafalivke. It's in the Ukraine. It's not far from where Troyanuvka is. It's all small little towns. And there were usually Jewish people living there, quite a few. So we went in to the house, to the empty house, and we stayed there for a while. I can't tell you how many, I can't tell you, but all young boys and girls, the young people that survived. And we stayed together. You had to have something. You had to have something to hang on to. So we all together, we became a family. There was a train passing by there with Ukrainian people were on them too, and a young girl. She's still in Israel, and her mother and her brother survived with us from our town. They were neighbors of ours. They survived. And what happened was it was right after the war. The soldiers were Russian soldiers, were very hungry. So in that little house, my aunt and that girl's mother used to bake bread. And they would jump up on the train and sell them the bread. And they would, give them some money. A little business. The soldiers did. But one Ukrainian guy was standing there, and he pushed her, that girl that was trying to get off, and they cut her leg off. Because he knew who she was, like she's Jewish. So he pushed her off, and she fell under the train. And so there was a hospital. The Russians had a hospital because the war was ending, and they had those soldiers to look after. It was right there. So her mother took her in, and they cut the leg off, and she was alive. She got to Israel after years after she got to Israel, and she had a very big position in the government. And from there, we realized that we're not safe here because the Ukrainians will kill us. So we went to Poland, to Lodz. Two of the boys survived, and they were from Lodz.